Ladies and gentlemen, this interview is brought to you by Burn It Up Coaching and the 21-Day Challenge. And if you're an entrepreneur or a high achiever and you feel like you're stuck, you're spinning your wheels, or you feel like you could use an extra dose, an extra supercharge of motivation, inspiration, clarity on your dreams, on your purpose, and also on the plan to get there, then the 21-Day Challenge is the perfect fit for you. What we'll do is we'll take you through a process to get you clear on your purpose, your statement of purpose, your life purpose and vision, and then show you how to break that down into bite-sized steps so you can have it in 6-month goals, 3-month, 1-month, and 1-week goals. And then also we'll be dialing in your daily routines, how to create that foundation of success. How do you wake up happy, alive, energized, and ready to tackle the day? And how do you complete the day in a powerful way that gets you started on the next day before you even begin it? So that's the 21-Day Challenge. We'll do daily check-ins and progress reports, one-on-one with me. You'll have daily access to me, super, super powerful, exclusive access to me, and you'll also have weekly deep dive calls with me to uncover the limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging patterns that are keeping you stuck or stopped or not achieving your goals. So whatever it is, if you want to create the relationship of your dreams, if you want to create the wealth of your dreams, if you want to create the lifestyle of your dreams, the 21-Day Challenge will give you the kickstart to create that end result. So if you are interested and committed in becoming your greatest possible self, send me a message, chris@beyourgps.com, or through Facebook, and let me know that you are excited to take the 21-Day Challenge. I look forward to talking to you about taking your next 21-Day Challenge. Next up is the iTunes review of the week. And the iTunes review of the week this week is by Obsidian, inspired by Obsidian. And she says, "Soul fire. Whenever I have the opportunity to connect with Chris, he leaves me feeling inspired, refreshed, and determined. People like Chris are examples of what becoming your greatest possible self looks like. A gift to the world, a walking, talking, and thriving legacy." Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much, Obsidian. And if you want to give us a review, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes, and you can give us a review there, or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on the iTunes Store, Podcast Store, or on Facebook, and you can give us a review there as well. Thank you in advance for doing that. I appreciate you. We appreciate you for doing that. Next, the woman of the hour. Make sure you stay tuned because this woman has overcome some serious challenges and she is making such a big name for herself, inspiring people all around the world. And we are going to have an incredible interview. Stick around to the end so you get all the gold, all the wisdom, all the inspiration from Kebone because she's bringing the heat. Kebone is a public speaker and storyteller, inspiring people to discover and live their purpose. She organizes ladies' transformational events that aim at creating a platform where women from all walks of life can come together to have meaningful conversations about life, love, spirituality, and purpose. Over 23 years experience in ICT, working across industries such as insurance, telecoms, healthcare, and government. And we are absolutely blessed to have her here today. And Kebone, are you ready to rock this?
I'm ready, Chris. How are you, Chris?
Oh, I'm doing so awesome. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to show up and give our audience the wisdom that you've experienced along your journey, along your life. So thank you so much for being here, Kebone.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. So let's dive right into the theme of the day. And the theme of the day today is presence. Okay, so Kebone, how has this concept of presence played a role in your life? And how has it made a difference for you? How has it impacted you?
Presence for me is a big part of my life. Firstly, my spirituality encourages me to be present. Being present means you can be in touch with your surroundings. You can be in touch with your intuitive self. Mm-hmm. You can be in touch with your higher power, and you get to that plane where you can receive those supernatural messages and direction that can guide you along the path in your life. So presence for me is a big part, because if you're not present, you might miss very important details in your life that you could overlook, like meeting somebody by chance along the way. Somebody just starts talking to you. If you're not present, you might miss what that moment is bringing in both of your lives. Yesterday I met a young man who heard me speak on the radio about purpose and wanted to meet with me. And we couldn't meet for a while because I was busy, he was busy. But I knew that that moment, that call, was not by chance. It was by purpose, by design. And I had to make time and pursue him to make sure that we meet, and we have this meeting. So we had the meeting yesterday, and I brought myself, and in that moment of presence, a lot of things came to the fore. We discovered that he didn't know his value. He didn't know his worth. He didn't know what he was bringing into this world. He didn't know the value that he was carrying as he was walking around. He saw himself as a victim. Everything that was happening, he felt like he was being used. He didn't realize that he was a blessing. He was not being used. He was a blessing. People were coming to him because there's value in him. There's something that he was offering. And if I was not present at that moment, we wouldn't have been able to get these breakthroughs. So for me, presence is a big part of my life and the work that I do.
So amazing. So amazing. I love it. I love it. So thank you for sharing how important presence is to you. I know it's super important, in my opinion, for anyone who is being a leader these days, right? Stepping up into that leadership role, it really takes a level of presence, a level of love, self-image, mindfulness, all these kinds of things. So I'm super excited to dive into that in this interview and then the other interviews that are going on today, just to hear all these different perspectives about what presence really means to you. So thank you for sharing that perspective. And for anyone who doesn't yet know you, Kebone, why don't you share a little bit more about what you're working on today and a little bit more about who you are today? And we'll start with that, and then we'll go back into the journey and the obstacles and challenges and things that you overcame to get to where we are today.
Okay, so what I'm working on today, who I am, is like my bio says, I'm a speaker, I'm a storyteller, which is something that has to do with my purpose. I'm a champion of living a life of purpose. I am passionate about purpose because I know what purpose has done in my life. I spend most of my time growing up, moving from pillar to post, not knowing who I was, and the minute purpose was brought forth in my life changed. I could get that fulfillment. I could get that joy. And this is what I am championing with my life, with my purpose. I'm championing a life of purpose. I inspire people to live a life of purpose. Wherever I am, I encourage people to try and look at things differently and try and add value wherever they are and live a life of purpose. So yeah, I've been in IT for a long time, and I've worked my way up the career ladder in IT, and until I discovered that it doesn't fulfill me, and then I explored my purpose, and I found that this is what I love. This is what brings joy into my life. This is what lights up my fire, and I move around speaking. I do one-on-one sessions with people that need help and support them on their journey to discovering their purpose and transitioning from discovering.
So I want to dive into real quick. What does it mean to be? What does purpose mean to you?
So purpose for me means doing that or being that which you were born to be or which you were designed to be. Sometimes I call it living your life by design. We are all different. We are all unique. We all have different gifts. And these gifts are meant to to make a difference in our communities, in the lives that are around us. We all have something to give in this world. So for me, that is purpose. For me, purpose is finding that thing that that gives positivity in the atmosphere, in people's lives, and also gives you the joy that comes with it. It's got nothing to do with money. It's got nothing to do with material. It's just how you were designed and what you were born to do with your life.
I love it. I love it. So it's like what you were designed to be. It's almost like purpose has this destiny about it. It has this greater good. It's not, like you said, it's not about the money, although we love money, we love, impact, we love success and all the accolades and celebrations and stuff like that. At the end of the day, that's not really what it's all about. That's a part of it, and I'd say a bigger picture is the people that we get to impact, the communities that we get to help, and the difference that we get to make in this world, the world becoming a better place because of our time here while we are alive.
Yes, I was telling somebody that it's true what they say, that when you leave this world, nobody's going to talk about your cars or how rich you were or how many houses you were. People that are going to come and speak at your funeral, it's people whose lives you've touched, who you brought something different in their lives, who you made a difference in their lives. And that is our value. Like, purpose is our value. It's our worth, which is priceless. No amount of money can give you what purpose gives you or gives to this world.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful, Kebone. So let's go back. Let's go back into the journey. What were those times where you weren't on purpose? What was life like when you didn't know about purpose? You weren't living your purpose, or at least you weren't consciously aware of it. And tell us where the journey really began with that.
So I like I said, I went to varsity. I remember when I was in matric. And there was a class, a career guidance class, and there was a teacher was telling us about different careers, and he specifically mentioned IT, and he said, and one thing that stuck to me was, there's money in IT, and I thought, that's where I'm going. And I pursued IT. I went to college and I started working. And it enabled me to get this money, and I went through my career, and I grew in my career, and I changed jobs, and I bought stuff, and last week I had a job interview, and they asked me, why did you change jobs so much? And it made me think, and I realized that I was actually very restless at that time. Because I was looking for something, and I thought success is what I'm looking for, and success to me had to do with money, had to do with houses, had to do with cars, and I went to pursue these things. My dream was I want to be a millionaire by the time I turned 40, and I worked hard. I worked hard at it. I worked hard at my career. And I acquired houses, I acquired cars, and I lived the life. But the more that I gained these things, the more I wanted more. It was never enough. It could never give me the fulfillment that I was looking for, or the content. I was never content. The minute I acquire something, it's only a temporary contentment.
Yeah.
At that moment, it's all good. The next day, it's like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
It's like that horizon. And eventually I got tired. I realized that this success thing is an illusion. It's like chasing after the horizon. Like you chase, and you just never get there. And I thought, I can't carry on like this. And the weird thing, Chris, is that at the same time that I was chasing this success, I also had a fear of success.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
It's
Like
so
I was
ironic. It's so ironic. It's like life is like, hey, you can be and do anything you want. Oh, by the way, in the back of your mind, you're gonna always be plagued with like fears of what happens if I get too big, or what happens if I mess up, or what
yes,
happens with all this pressure.
exactly.
It's so ironic. It's like, thanks, life.
It is.
Thanks.
It is. So I was plagued by this fear of success. And when I think about it, I think maybe I was afraid of losing myself
Yeah.
in this success. And because the more that I was achieving these things, the more that I felt like, man, I'm moving further and further and further away from the core of who I am.
Mm,
So I decided whether I asked myself, do I continue on this journey, or
mm,
do I look for something else? And at that time, I was working in church. I'm a Christian, I'm a believer,
mhm,
and I was preaching and I was doing counseling and helping out in church. And there was some aspects in church that I liked, like the personal interaction when people are sick and you pray for them and they tell you, I feel better, and you pray for somebody and they tell you, I went to the doctor, the cancer is gone,
mm, yeah.
and those things are the stuff that touched my soul,
Mm, mhm,
although I never paid too much attention to them. But then when this inner conflict started happening, I decided to look on the other side. I said, okay, then let me maybe explore purpose. Like purpose came to the fore, and I thought there has to be more to life than
mm,
chasing stuff. I mean, I have proved to myself that it's not enough.
mm.
Doesn't matter how much I get, how much stuff I get, it will never ever be enough.
Was there
So
a
the
moment? Was there a moment where that happened? Like, let's say you got one of your biggest, bonuses, or you got a car, and then the next day you felt like empty, and then you looked back and you're like, wait, what was this all for? And then you started investing in more of like the ministry and Christianity and church and stuff like that in your faith. How did that happen?
Just to ask your to answer your first question in terms of when that happened,
Hmm.
it was a specific day. I remember. I'll never forget that day. I came home from work, and I sat down, and I was alone. I have two boys, but they were at that moment they were outside. They were outside playing, and I was alone in my house. And I looked around me, and I had this beautiful apartment, and I had other two houses, and I looked around, and I thought, Lord, I have all these things. I have this beautiful house, and I'm here, but it's just walls. Like something clicked. Like I looked up and I saw four walls, and I thought, and I said, Lord, like it's just four walls. Although it's beautiful, although it's got beautiful stuff, it's got beautiful TVs, but it's just four walls. And how many four walls can I live at the same time? How many four walls are you gonna take to 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 make me feel whole, to
Mm,
feel this whole that I'm feeling inside? How many must I still acquire?
mm,
And clearly it's not about these falls, it's not about how many houses. And I thought, and at that moment I said, I could give this all up to find that thing that I'm looking for, which I didn't even know what it was. I thought
yeah.
I really could give this all up just to find that thing. And coincidentally, at that time, the company that I was working for went under,
Mm,
and and suddenly I couldn't service my after that moment,
mhm,
after I said I could give this all up, it's just seemed like the universe conspired with me. I lost my job ended. I couldn't service my bonds. I couldn't service my houses. I couldn't
wow.
service my cars, and I lost it all. And I had to move back in with my mom. I lost my houses. I took my kids, went back to my mom's place. But the weird thing is, it felt like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulder. I felt so
Mm,
light
yeah.
and so free. And I realized how these things had bogged me down, and the heaviness that they had brought into my life. And I decided to take that opportunity and that moment to search for this thing that I had been looking for. With regards to my faith, how it came about, I was young and I was working and I was going through life, and something happened. I was having problems sleeping, and and it was like there was this presence around me that I couldn't shake off, and I didn't know what it was, but it was so heavy, you know. And then at that time I was doing counseling. I went for counseling after my divorce, and I told my therapist, and my therapist said, I'm actually a Christian, and I can send you for prayer with a pastor of mine. And she did. She sent me there, and they prayed. Uh, no, I went there on a Sunday, and that Sunday when I got there, and they were singing, and there was this moment where they said, if if it's your first time in church, stand up, let us welcome you. And I stood up, and there was this guy next to me, and they were singing this song, and the song went like, I have a feeling everything's gonna be all right. Oh, those words just
Powerful.
filled my eyes with tears, and I started crying. And
Mm.
this guy that was standing next to me just reached out and gave me a big hug. And at that time, when he gave me that hug, I felt so much love that I had never felt in a long time or ever in my life. I felt like this is love. If this is love, then I want to be here. And at that moment, when they asked if you want to get saved, if you want to give your life over to Jesus Christ, and I raised my hand, and I got saved at that moment. So that's how my faith came about.
Wow, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I think that faith is one of the most powerful aspects of ourselves, whether it's in, God, source, creator, universe, whatever that people define it as. I think when in my own personal journey, when I thought that I was the only one in control, so to speak, like this is when I was young, right? When I was like a late teens, early 20s, I was like, I'm in control of my universe, and in a egotistical way that like I had the power, and deep down inside I had this like deep insecurity that I wasn't powerful at all. I wasn't powerful enough. I wasn't happy. I wasn't meaningful. Nobody really cared about me. And it was in those times where I said, like, I don't know what love is. I cast off the love of my parents. I resented them, and I also resented God. And I said, you know what? I don't believe in God. Like, I don't know why, but I just want to rebel and say, I don't believe in God. I don't need God. Blah blah blah. And those were some of the most like difficult times in my life, the most painful, the most like full of suffering. And now that I'm probably about 4 years ago or so, I really started opening back up in my faith of God and, something bigger, right? Like, I don't know what it is, and I know it's something bigger. It's something that is more powerful than I could ever imagine. And if I simply have faith in that and create that the universe has my back, God has my back, that there's these things that are supporting me and divinely guiding me towards where I'm supposed to go, or where is in my highest and best good, then it really takes away so much of the stress and the anxiety and the overwhelm, just to know that we are protected, we are divinely guided, and that everything is working out, everything is going to be okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
That's so
super, super powerful. So that was a huge transformation for me, and it sounds like it was for you too. And that seed was planted to give you that strength and that spiritual fortitude to be able to handle whatever comes your way in life, and different things like that. So along the journey, you mentioned a challenge with just really figuring out what is your purpose. when you had found your purpose of helping other people with their purposes, being a champion for these people, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced in that transition or stepping into that role and that power? Because that it really takes something for you to be like the coach or the champion who's championing other people to be a champion themselves. It really takes a lot of fortitude, a lot of character, a lot of discipline, a lot of focus and investment of yourself and your being. So what were some of the biggest challenges in that transition and growing into where you are now?
For me, I think my biggest challenge was my childhood issues. I still had childhood issues of not being good enough. Who do I think I am to just suddenly be telling people about purpose? What do I know? I just discovered purpose. What can I do? So those were my personal obstacles. My other challenges were, how do I go about it? Like, where do I start? What do I do? I think that one, fortunately, because I was in church, I had a testing ground. I had somewhere to play in and people to ask around. And because church always drills, you are called, you have to work in church, you have to pursue your calling, do what you're called to do. So I would always be asking, like, what am I called to do? What is my calling, And I remember a friend of mine saying to me, I don't know if your listeners would understand this, but he said to me, "You're a prophetic evangelist." And yeah, and but it took me a long time to connect to that. For me, it was just words, because I had never walked this road before. I didn't know what that meant, So it was
So
a journey.
what did the words mean to you when you first heard them, and what do they mean to you now?
When I first heard them, the prophetic part made sense, because there was some hints even in my life before I even got saved. I would say stuff and they would happen. I would dream seeing somebody and I would see them the next day.
Wow.
So I always had this suspicion that there's something there. So when the church started defining it as prophecy, and I started exploring prophecy, and so I could make sense. The evangelism part was part where it didn't make sense, because I'm naturally very shy, and standing in front of people would scare the living daylights out of me. And so that didn't make sense to me, and and God had to create circumstances that pushed me to the front, where I didn't have a choice but to go and stand, and speak. I remember there was an incident where we were supposed to go and preach at a certain place, but I wasn't the one preaching. Obviously, I was just part of the group. But there was some understanding with transport. So I ended up getting there, the first one to get there while they were late. And when I got there, the person that was waiting for me or for us to arrive, and I arrived alone, said to me, "You have to preach, because we've been waiting for an hour. We've been praying and singing, and it's we can't do this anymore. You have to pray." And I said, "I can't." And she said, like, she didn't even give me an opportunity to object or any. It wasn't even open to discussion, So I had to go stand there and say something. I don't even remember what I said, and I think I just spoke for like 5 minutes. And after I finished, the other group came in, and as they came in, I was so relieved. And I said to the congregation, "The pastors are here, so I'm gonna now sit and they'll take over." So I had to learn to get over myself. also learn to trust the gift that I am having, but also because the church has its own definition, I still felt like I was misplaced in church. I felt like it's still not me. Um, I just felt like I still something is missing. And I left church for a while. I didn't leave God. I left church. I just got out of church and I decided I just need some time to figure this out. And I
Right.
stayed in prayer. And one day I thought, let me explore this, go back to this church thing, the preaching thing. What is it about this part that I like? And I
How
decided
long ago? How long ago was that?
it was actually 2 years ago. So
Two
it took
years.
like
Wow.
a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So it's still like, I think there's power in the newness of a decision. Of course there's
Yeah.
power in a consistency of the decision after, 5,
Yeah.
10 years. And there's like a
Yes.
newness and a life, there's like a
Yes.
nurturing, you're nurturing this dream, this aspect of yourself, this purpose into
Yes.
existence. And that's super
Yeah.
awesome. I love hearing that.
Yeah. So and then I realized, okay, I actually love the speaking part of it, because even though I was shy at this time, I had started feeling confident. I had started realizing that, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
And I've been forced to do this, so I was starting to become comfortable in front of crowds, and I even took a public speaking course, just to learn, to get it in my head,
Yeah.
to know, understand what it takes. So I realized that I like the speaking part, and at that time, and I said to myself, okay, so now how do I make money during this transition? If I'm
Right.
going to transition into my purpose, how do I monetize it? And I remember at that moment, I remember the scripture that says, your gifts will make room for you before men.
Mm.
And what came into my mind was branding. And I thought, oh, so this actually speaks to branding. And I thought, okay, so what God is saying is your gifts are your brand. And I thought, okay, so what are my gifts? And at that time, I realized, okay, I love writing. I've been writing for a long time. I've written articles, I've written stuff. Um, I love writing, and I've always wanted to write a book. You know, uh, I've spoken about it for many, many, many years. And I realized that actually writing is a gift. I didn't know that writing was a gift. I thought anybody could write, but it
Mm.
took me like a lifetime to realize that this is a gift,
Yeah.
and I can use it to build my brand.
Yeah. So
So
real quick, for other people who are searching for their gifts and their purpose, what can they do to figure out what are their gifts? How can you give them like a process or an exercise to go through, or something to sit down and do, so that they can really get clear on their gifts and what to invest more time and energy into?
I think if you want to explore your gifts, you should actually look at what comes naturally to you. What and it's something some our gifts we actually most of the time overlook,
Mm-hmm.
because it's something that's so natural to us. We think it's not important because somehow we expect things to be difficult. But if it's something that's a part of you, it just comes naturally. So you have to look at what comes naturally to you, what you enjoy, what consumes you. Not even consuming. Maybe consuming is the wrong word, but something that you don't even think takes effort, you know.
Yeah. What I hear is a timelessness, right? When you say consume, I think what you mean is like you experience a flow state. You experience like a
Yes,
timelessness, like you
yes,
forget about everything else and you're just like so enraptured and in love with that moment and that thing.
yes. Yeah, yeah. It's something that you usually, like, if things are not going well, you would go to this thing.
Mm.
Like if you're having a challenge, you would I would say, okay, if I'm having a challenge, then I would take my notebook and I would start writing.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever challenge I'm dealing with, I would find a solution while I'm writing. The writing allows me to break my thoughts and to break it down to pieces and actually make sense of what's happening and find solution. So it would be something that plays that role in your life. For some people, it's art. When they're feeling down, they'll take their their they start drawing. It comforts them. It brings them back to them. It's something that dwells in their soul. So it's something like that, something you'd normally go to in your quiet time. When you want to give yourself some self-love, you'd go to this thing, Um, uh, so you have to look at those things, and also your talents. What are you talented at? What do other people come to you for help, or for advice, or some people do graphic design without even studying it. Some
Mm.
people fix cars without even studying them.
Right.
Study mechanics. So those kinds of things, that you look at yourself and nitpick and see those things and start exploring that part of yourself that we overlook.
So we often overlook it. We take it for granted. It's something that comes easy to us. It's something that we do automatically without even thinking about it. So what I hear is
Yeah,
be more present in our life so that we can be aware of, hey, what are these things that I'm automatically doing? And sitting down and writing it out. I love how you said that. Like really just putting it on paper. Like write a question down at the top, or ask yourself a series of questions. What do I
yeah,
do? What do I do easily? And then just write
yeah,
that down. Write down 3, 5, 10 things. What do I do without even thinking about it? Or what do I do naturally? And then write 3,
mm,
5, 10 things down. And then write what are some things that I might take for granted? And then you
yeah,
can write down some things about that. And I think that inventorying process of our life is so
yeah,
powerful. So powerful.
yeah. Also,
Yeah.
also the feedback that we get from other people as well. And I
Yes.
like how you use the word presence. Like take notice of the feedback that you're getting from people. Because sometimes we add value to people without even realizing it. So that kind of feedback, and it's okay to even ask around, like, ask somebody, what do you think I'm good at? When you're with me, what do you notice that I'm not noticing? So that kind of feedback also helps. But but most of the time, other people don't know us, because we present a different aspects of ourselves to other people. Usually, our purpose, our gifts, are our treasure, and
Yeah.
sometimes we keep those things close to our hearts and close to ourselves because they are us. So you might not, other people might not even know.
Yeah.
So it's something that it's a journey that you need to take by yourself, and it's good to have somebody like me that can help you through the process as well, who's been there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's so powerful, is having someone who's gone through that struggle before and then come out on the
Yeah,
other side to really stand there and say, "Hey, you can do this. You can figure it out."
yeah,
And I
yeah,
believe a big part of it too is that willingness to keep exploring and keep experimenting and keep trying new things, because like I started my entrepreneurial journey about 6 years ago, right? Like jumping out of college, like 6 months before graduating college, I said, "Hey, let's go do a network marketing company and see what this thing's all about." That spark was born. That vision of what's possible in my life was born,
mm,
and I had these like preconceived notions of what success looked like you said, the cars, the traveling, and money and houses and all these kinds of things. And it just turned out that I wasn't clear on my purpose. And through time, through refinement, through tons and tons and tons of journaling, like hundreds, if not thousands of hours of
oh,
journaling, I
yeah,
finally am like really so rooted and grounded in what I do. I couldn't have gotten
yeah,
here though if I wouldn't have started the journey, number one, and number two,
mm,
invested in coaches and mentors like yourself,
yeah,
like investing in someone who can help me take those next steps, who can hold me
yeah,
accountable, who I look up to, who I respect,
yeah,
who has walked the path that I want to walk. Like I couldn't be here without that. So I
yeah.
100% believe in what you just said right there. It's so powerful.
Yes, and you're right. It's not instant. It takes a lifetime.
Mm,
Because we get stuck in the way the world defines things, the
yeah.
way success is defined, and we get sensitized, or we get used to doing things this way. So
Yes.
to change thoughts, it's a journey on its own.
Oh my
It takes
gosh.
time. Like you said, it's a long process, and you've got to be patient with yourself, and you've got to just love yourself through the process.
Yeah, 100%. So, like, what is someone supposed to do if they don't love themselves? Because it's easy for us to say, just love yourself through the process. How does someone like actually love themselves in pursuit of their purpose, especially if they feel either one totally lost or so far away from it, and like it's like not even close. It's like, is that really even possible? They're questioning if they even have the capacity within them to achieve that
Yeah.
purpose. You know?
I think loving yourself is all about giving yourself a break,
Hmm.
treating yourself with gentleness, and saying, it's okay. It's okay that I'm here. Being here, it's okay. Being confused, it's okay. It's part of the process. Being lost, feeling lost, it's okay. It's part of the process. I'm supposed to be here. And like we said, trusting in the process, knowing that it's all gonna work out.
Mm.
Um, Whatever happens, there's a higher power looking out for me. And there is a purpose that wants to birth itself out of me. And it's not something that I need to force on myself. I need to take time and relax into it and ease myself also into it, because rushing it sometimes it can be so overwhelming that we might run, you know.
Yeah.
So it's good to like ease into it, and just listen to your heart. If you want to take a break. You know, if you want to pursue. Like, listen to that your inner child, your inner voice, and and look after your inner child. Look out for your inner child, so that you don't hurt yourself further through this journey. You don't sabotage yourself. You don't beat yourself up because you feel like you're not figuring it out. It
What would be an example of like really tending to that inner child and nurturing that inner child to that would help us get to our purpose? Like how does that work, and how do we do that?
um Nurturing yourself, it's all about, like we said, self-love.
Hmm.
It's doing the things that you love. If you know that you're an artist, and artistry gives you that fulfillment, or gives you a break from from the harshness that you've been feeling, do that. Do more of that. you know. Um Watch the relationships that bring negativity around you. If there's relationships that are not um, bringing positive energy but wearing you down, cut those relationships. Decide to do things that bring positivity in your life. Look out for relationships that bring positivity in your life, that inspire you. Listen to some motivational talks, listen to some motivational tapes that will encourage you. Do some research, read books that speaks to what you're going through. One thing that I used to do a lot when I was going through that process, every time I get stuck or I felt like I'm not getting anywhere or I'm struggling and I felt like I was losing this war, I would go and look for a book, that speaks to what I was feeling at that moment, and I would buy that book, and I know that it would speak to my soul, and it would get me through that little hump to the next phase. So yeah, go to gym, go for coffee, go for walks, do stuff that nurtures you, and that's how you nurture that inner child.
Yes, I love it. And also speaking to having a coach or a mentor, someone who you look up to, or
Yeah.
even a powerful community. It could be a church community, it could be online. You can ask for those resources. Oftentimes we can just Google and say, "Hey, what's a book on shame? What's a book on
Yeah. Mm.
becoming more worthy? What's a book on loving ourselves more?" All that kind of stuff. We can just Google that stuff. And when we really start investing in those relationships of coaches, of communities, stuff like that, then we
Yeah.
can ask a question and get more precise and specialized answers and feedback to our questions like that, which is super important to make the most amount of growth possible. Like we can look for the answers on our own. We can Google, use Uncle Google, and like look for those answers. And it really, when we get down into the work, into the journaling, into the inquiry, into asking and questioning, like, why do I do this? Why do I like this? Where do I want to be in a year from now? Like, it really takes having someone who's there as a committed
Yeah.
listener, as a coach, as someone who sees the greatness in us to be able to fulfill on that. It's like, okay, I see it, but there's always a gap between where I am now and where I want to go. Who do I have to
Yeah.
become to make that happen? And oftentimes it takes someone speaking life into us to be able to step up and rise up and be like, you know what, you're right, I can do that. I am capable of that. I am that great. And then we start taking the action. So that's been super important for me to get to where I am, and I'm sure for you too.
Yeah, that's so true. And you actually reminded me, there's people that actually will just somehow come into your life, when you speak to them, you realize that they like you want to be. They have all this figured out, and those are the people that you can talk to. I remember I met this gentleman who lives far away from me, and we met by chance, and he has been in ministry for a long time, but he was somebody that I could talk to, and once in a while I would call him and say, I'm battling with this and battling, and we would talk and share. And there's other people that I would talk to about other things.
Right.
And yes, coaching, I always have a coach that walks with me. So yes, those relationships, and it takes presence to pick that up. That this person is actually here for this time for me.
I love this. I love this
It's
presence, awareness, like actually being connected to the person, to your own intuition, to your higher self. Like, is this really the best person for me to invest my time and my energy into, or
time.
is there someone who is more aligned with me, who more gets me in my purpose and what I'm up to? That's a powerful question, and something for people to really dive into and learn to trust themselves on, because like we hear hear about all the times people, invested or took action or partnered up with someone and it didn't end up working out because of whatever
Yeah.
differences or it wasn't aligned. So it's like
Yeah.
really learning to trust ourselves and know, one of the things I teach our clients is who's your perfect partner, who's your dream partner, who's your dream client, who's your dream person you want to work with, dream coach, dream mentor. What are the characteristics of that person? How will you know when you find that person? How will you identify that person? If people aren't clear on that, then they could be walking by the perfect client, the perfect partner, the perfect coach on a daily basis, and they just don't even know it. And when they train themselves to say, this is who I'm looking for, this is what they look like, this is what they act like, this is what they sound like, this is the type of family that they have, here's where they hang out. Like when we get clear on that, it really gives us so much power and certainty in our choices.
Yes, and confidence.
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
100%, 100%. I love it. I love it. So, Kebone, if people really are still feeling like they're not at their purpose yet, they are still finding their way, what would you say are some of the final words of wisdom to be able to step into that and live that purpose?
I would say if you're there and you are asking questions and you're unsure of yourself, it's okay. Just keep asking. Don't stop. Keep asking, keep looking, keep exploring, keep testing, keep at it. Do
Mm,
whatever it takes. Um, and eventually it will fall in place. Just be patient and keep at it. Never give up
mm,
because it's worth it. The journey is worth it. The process is worth it. And remember, in the process, there is growth.
yeah.
So you don't want to get there instantly because otherwise you're going to miss the growth that comes and
Mm,
the growth in terms of your personality, in terms of your character that comes with the process.
yeah.
It's it's bulk to your offering, to your depth, to your spirit. So keep at it. Know that everything works out for good. Every bad part, every good part, every test, every tear,
Mm,
every heartache, uh, it's all there for a reason, and it works together to make you this whole deep, a rounded person
yeah.
who can connect with anybody at any level, and bring that positive energy, that turnaround, that spark in
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah, beautiful. And I had one more question that came to mind when you were talking about this. When someone is, let's say, for example, let's talk about Tony Robbins, right? Tony Robbins, one of the biggest motivational speakers. We would say he's for sure living in his purpose. He has, all the impacting, millions, even tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people. He's for sure living in his purpose. What about the
Yeah.
person who's just starting on their journey? Are they still living their purpose? And, is there a difference in the quality of someone's living in their purpose if they're just starting or if they've been on the path and they're 20 years, 30 years into it? Is there a difference there?
No, there's no difference because our journeys are not the same. We
Mm,
we 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 are all born at different times, different atmosphere, different environments,
mm,
different opportunities, different starting places. Some others start further than us. Some people have better opportunities in terms of stepping out. Some people have grew up in families where they were an enlightened family that was able to guide them
mm,
while they were young, so they got an upper hand in starting. Some of
right.
us started from the ground. We had to figure this all out without anybody helping us.
Mm,
So it will, for some of us, feel like it's taking longer. We digging deep, and we in the dark. We just trying out in the dark without knowing what we're doing and where we're going. But no one is better than the other. Your journey is yours. Appreciate it, value it. There are people that are waiting for you to show up for them. So keep going, keep at it. Be patient with yourself. This is what I want to stress.
Yes.
Be patient with yourself. There's no rush. There's no good or bad. There's no right and wrong. It's just you and your journey, and you, the flower that is blossoming. And allow yourself the time to blossom, to heal what needs to be healed, to grow what needs to be to grow, and to allow yourself to gather, to have the courage to step out into the unknown, and one step at a time, and you'll get there.
I love it. I love it, Kebone. This is so awesome. Such an amazing interview. And I know our audience wants to know how they can really step into their purpose even more if they're having difficulties, or if they just want to take it to the next level. And you're the perfect person to do that with. So how would they do that? How would they take those next steps with you?
I am on Facebook.
Okay.
I am on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. Chris has got my contacts. Just give me a shout. We can do one-on-ones, virtual. We can do Skype. We can do whatever. We can put a plan together. I promise to walk this journey with you, help you clarify whatever you're struggling with, put a program together if needs to be. We'll just follow we'll just follow this intuitively. We'll let God guide us. We'll work together and we'll get there. I'll get there with you. I'll be your support and your champion.
Absolutely. Awesome. Kebone, thank you so much for coming on today. You are a superstar, and thank you for the work that you're doing in the world. I'm super grateful to be connected with you, to be growing with you, and creating this impact even more with you. And I know we got some big things on the horizon, impacting more people. You know, you're writing your book, possibility of a podcast, getting on more interviews, all this. So keep up the amazing work, because you're a superstar, and I'm grateful to know you, Kebone.
Thank you so much, Chris. I'm grateful to know you, and I'm looking forward to doing greater things with you.
Yes. Awesome. Have the best day ever. We'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. We'll see you soon.